I'm good. Yeah, I'm on him. Holy cow, Jake. That is a stud. 68.
Well, after a fun and action-packed week of hunting with the guys in Iowa during the early muzzleloader season, I packed up my truck and headed back home and was looking forward to the cooler weather for some late October bow hunting. My first stop was back out on the prairie for another attempt at my first mule deer buck. Though I wasn't seeing the number of deer I had a few weeks prior, I did find an aggressive 3x3 that bedded in a perfect spot for a stalk. So I quickly closed the distance, got to within 25 yards of the buck, came to full draw, and rose up for the shot. Unfortunately, once again, he didn't stand still long enough for me to release an arrow. He trotted out to about 75 yards, turned and looked back at me, seemingly taunting me as I chalked up yet another close call. But with a major cold front on the way, it was time to shift my focus to hunting whitetails. All right, it is October 26th today. I'm back from the mule deer spot, gonna go after whitetails and give that spot a bit of a break. But the area that I'm hunting today is one that I spent quite a bit of time driving around this summer locating bucks. And this particular spot where I'm at is where I saw several good bucks back in late July and August that were spending a lot of time close to the road and mostly on public land. So it was definitely something that piqued my interest. So I put a trail camera up in the creek bottom where I'd been seeing the bucks come out, and then lightly scouted the area in August, and then also found a couple stands that were also close to the access, so I'd assumed there would be a good amount of hunting pressure close to the access once the season started. So fast forward to September when the season opened, and I was gone on hunts filming for the first few weeks of the season. So when I got back, I checked the trail camera and found that during the first week of September, the bucks were still in the area, but soon after, cows came in, took over the creek bottom. And there was also some other human pressure in the area, and the deer photos pretty much dried up after that. So from there, as you've seen, I've been spending quite a bit of time hunting out on the prairie, trying to get my first mule deer buck, and now here it is late October, and I'm finally getting back around to hunting whitetails, and this is the first spot that I had in mind. So my plan today is to scout my way back into this piece with the thought that the bucks that I was seeing here 2 months ago are probably not moving in daylight anywhere close to where they were back in July and August with fall home range shift, with hunting pressure, the cows in this area, and with other human activity. I'm assuming that I'll need to get like a mile plus back in before I have a decent shot at finding bucks moving in daylight. So as I've been map scouting and trying to figure out where to go to find bucks in this relatively monotonous habitat of ponderosa pine, there's a spot that stood out on the map that's about 1.25 miles back in, and it's a patch of thick cover where the pines have been cut, and it looks like it's filling in with high stem density patches of young birch or aspen, some young pines, and then grasses and shrubs and stuff like that. So it's created diversity and edge within an otherwise monotonous large block of timber. And you hear us talk about this all the time, but pretty much everywhere we hunt whitetails, that's one of the key features we're looking for is edge and habitat diversity.
Well, I'm about 1 mile backing from the truck. Just starting to find a little bit more sign here of an opening. It's been cut. There's a clearing. And the habitat gets thicker. That's what I saw on the map. And just starting to see a little bit of sign as I get closer to that. Keep on going here and see what it looks like just over this hill.
Well, just as I hit the edge of the clear cut, I started to see a couple of fresh rubs, and I looked below me and spotted 3 bucks, one of which was a definite shooter. But since I was caught out in the open, I waited for the bucks to start to move off, and then grabbed some cover and tried to grunt the buck back in.
field, on the private land. So I looped around here, came in the back to see what it looks like in here, to see if I can make a setup for tomorrow morning and hopefully catch him come back through it. It doesn't seem like there's a lot of deer in this area in general. So I'm just taking the opportunity, since I'm quite sure that he's long gone, to come in here and maybe try to find his tracks and figure out where he's coming through at, make a setup for tomorrow morning. Kind of a unique opportunity. I got to the point here where it kind of bottlenecks down between these two ridges. A trail, kind of a roadway that comes down, is where I spotted the buck from. There's a trail that comes down off the ridge, and there's like a kind of a roadway. So there's just kind of a confluence of trails right here. And that buck went off in that direction after I saw him. I'm gonna make a setup here for the morning, get in super early, and hope that that buck comes back through here. It's just kind of a natural funnel down in here. If that buck comes back the same direction that he went out, there'd be a good chance that he can get within bow range. Alright, geared up and ready to go here. It's a chilly 10 degrees this morning. I'm gonna head back into that set that I hung last night. Hopefully catch that buck, or those bucks. There was actually 3 of them. Catch them coming back, moving through there. About 9 o'clock right now. Haven't seen anything yet this morning, which is probably a good thing because the wind had just been dead calm, and actually had kind of been pushing back down towards where I assumed the deer would come from. Helicopter going over. But now the day winds have started to pick up, coming out of the east like they're supposed to, and the wind is good now, blowing back towards the way I came in. But this is just right where I saw those bucks last night. I was just back up the hill, looked down and saw them. They eventually worked their way off that direction. I'm anticipating the deer come from that direction. They come through this little low area right here. There's a trail there, or there's a trail that goes up the hill, and then there's a roadway that goes up that hill. So I'm just kind of in a central spot here where I've got good shooting opportunity. If the deer come from anywhere from that direction and come down in here, that's kind of what I was hoping for, is that the deer wouldn't move early. Because like I said, my scent has just kind of been drifting back down that way. But now that the day winds have picked up, I'm good to go. So hopefully it's going to be a little bit later morning movement. We see that a lot of times on dead calm mornings, where mid-morning weather changes a little bit, wind picks up or something like that, and all of a sudden the deer start moving better. Based on what I saw last night, that I'm pretty close to where they're bedding. As early as I saw those bucks moving last night right here, give them plenty of time to get back in here. If I haven't seen anything by 10:30, I'll probably get down and go do some scouting elsewhere, or just kind of scout my way out here. telling you, man, I called that buck right down the hill to me. I didn't know if he was going to cut right or left. I was set up to shoot on the left side. And sure enough, he breaks to the right. I mean, it's dead calm. You know, the thing is basically, it's almost eye level with me. So I'm doing everything I can to just try to slowly move and get the camera under my bridge. Got back on him, was able to lean around, got to full draw. He was at about 25 yards, and all I had to do was step out a little bit farther to the right. I was going to have an opening. He turned back to the left, and then he just went up the hill. If he would just come to the left, it would have been a slam dunk. It'd have been easy to film, easy to shoot. You know, it just was in about the worst possible spot on the backside of the tree. And I just don't have much for shooting lanes over there. A bunch of oak trees right there. I have a lot of branches. You know, if I'd have been able to move faster, I might have been able to get over and get a shot. But it's calm. I'm self-filming, so I got to get the camera over carefully. Then I got to get my bow over carefully. And he never picked up on me. But, oh, that would have been sweet to get that deer. I mean, what an absolutely beautiful morning. Bitterly cold, snowy morning back in here. Sat in here until 10 o'clock. That was basically going to be my deadline. You know, start doing my closing interview. All of a sudden, I look to my left and see a buck. They all look like pretty decent bucks. And then this last one was doing the exact same thing. They were all following the same path. And he was in the right mood. But just couldn't get a shot at him. Oh, there's another buck right there. Smaller buck. Man, what a flurry of activity. And of course, the smaller one, he came down off the hill. It had been an easy shot as he passed by there. Chickadees all over here, carrying on. I suppose I better film them quick. Awesome encounter, just not the buck I was looking for. Oh man, what a morning though. Yeah, basically I'd hit my deadline. It was starting to get a little bit cold. My feet were a little cold, but not bad. And I got to thinking about other spots I could go scout, and then I gave it just a little bit longer. I gave it till about 10:10, and then looked to my left, and there's a buck. And then it was the floodgates open from there. But they all pretty much took the same path and cut up the hill. But either way, it's been an exciting hunt. Beautiful morning in here. Love hunting in the snow. Love it. I mean, it just goes to show that you got to sit it out sometimes. You know, it'd have been easy to get discouraged, and you know, having sat until 9:30, 9:45, you know, basically 3.5 hours. You know, if I wouldn't have given it until a little bit after 10 o'clock and felt like I needed to sit later in here for the, you know, just because of the spot that I'm in. You know, it's close to, presumably close to bedding. With the weather conditions today, with the fact that the day winds just started to pick up. Sometimes in those situations, you just got to sit longer than what you think that you might need to. But I was kind of anticipating that there would be later movement back in here, and sure enough, it was. But there's obviously a travel route right there that those deer were using to go up the hill, to get up on top of that thick stuff. But based on what I saw those bucks doing last night, they were moving. You know, I picked them up when they were down in the bottom here, and they were moving that direction. I was hoping that's what the deer would do this morning. It's kind of the same thing. That's why I set up here. But obviously there's a travel route that they like. Pretty much all the same trail or close to the same trail. So like I said, give it another hour here, but then I'll get down and go check that out. So I'd imagine that there may be a good opportunity to set up closer to where they were traveling there for future hunts. So I was set up. Alright, So I was set up about 75, 80 yards back that way. This is that trail, that roadway I could look down. And this is where I saw those bucks. And then they eventually cut up the hill and went up on top. The face of that ridge right there is really steep. So it's just kind of a natural funnel right through here. So I mean, there's a number of pine trees here that I could get in. But I think what the best bet would be is to hide in the rocks here. I made a little makeshift ground blind for whenever I come in next, to where I can just slip in the back, get set up in these rocks, and hunt morning or evening, and watch down that trail back to where those bucks came from. And then as soon as they get up in here, if they follow this trail, it's probably 15 yards, and then if they cut up anywhere in there, it's anywhere out to about 35, 40 yards. I like it. That's pretty sweet. It'd be awesome to shoot one hiding in the rocks like this. And I think it would work. You're elevated up above them. Got a ton of front cover. You can stay down low. Wouldn't be able to get much for footage, but once they get up here, if they pass through here like they did this morning, you're gonna get a shot. Really wish I'd have been sitting here this morning. That'd been pretty exciting, but I mean, that's all part of the process. It's just learning and refining. The wind is switching today, and it's already starting to switch to where it's going to push back up towards that bedding area where those bucks went. So I'm going to get out of here and just come back in when the conditions are right.
Never went 20 yards. Guess the redemption stand paid off.